MW, it's Melissa
and Stephanie Carcache,
two sisters and the founders of Millennial Women and your host of the Mini Talks. Today's MW is powerhouse Olivia June. Olivia is the founder and CEO of Hey Vina, an app to make valuable friendships with women around the world.
When she found herself struggling to make solid friendships, she did something about it. Everyone welcome Olivia June.
Olivia, thank you so much for joining us today. We're so excited to talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me. Thrilled to be here.
Yes. So, Olivia, we previously met at our LA event, so I'm so excited to actually see you again, face-to-face. I was going to say in person, but we're face-to-face. But for our womanhood who doesn't know too much about you and Hey Vina, tell us a bit about who you are and about Hey Vina.
I am a technology entrepreneur, and I've built a platform called Hey Vina, which functions very similarly to how a Tinder would work, but with the exclusive purpose of women's friendship, community building, and empowerment. So what we do is it's a free app available in 158 countries around the world. We have more than 1 million members, and we're responsible for about 8 million total new friendship introductions in the world. And so we're really proud of all of the amazing relationships and groups of girls' nights out to brunch to yoga partners and mom best friends and entrepreneurs that have met each other on our platform, which serves to connect you to the community of women around you. And so our mission is really twofold. One, for you to live your best life offline and face-to-face and investing in those in-person relationships. And the other one is to give resources to women to be able to have success and support no matter where you are in your life or in the world.
I love that.
That's so amazing. I'm such a fan of yours, and I think you're such an interesting person as well to create a friendship app. I mean, that's pretty amazing. I would love to know sort of your personal journey on friendship. Were you a person that had a lot of friends growing up? Was it difficult to make friendships? I would love to know a little bit about that.
I think, friendship for women is, our most complicated relationships that we have. And it's something that we personally have a lot of, really some of our best memories in our lives around, and then some of the darkest feelings that we have ever had around. And so growing up, I had a lot of friends, I guess, here and there, but there were definitely times, when I was a kid and throughout, my life, even in high school and in college, where suddenly I found myself feeling like the odd girl out, like I didn't really mesh with the group that I had found myself in. And usually those friendships were established because it was the same kids in your neighborhood, or the girls on the floor of your dorm room, or, your colleagues. And these are great relationships, but they often happen because we are in a situation where we're put in close proximity. And so we develop, really close relationships with those people. But some of the very best friendships that I've ever had are people that I've sought out, and they were women that I admired. And I saw them as they were so beautiful, they were so smart, they were really put together. And I thought, wow, I would really like to be friends with people like this. And so really pursuing actively to develop a friendship with those people. There's times like some of my most heartbreaking and sad times when I think about in life are when, I got friend dumped or when I was friend dumping someone. And those are heartbreaking moments. And I think my biggest fear as a kid was always loneliness. And so I was always afraid of being lonely. And there were often times in my life too where I would have a lot of friends and lots of people to go out with or parties to go to, but I felt so lonely and felt so disconnected. I didn't have that deep emotion. I didn't feel seen. And I think that we know a really big difference between having people in our lives and having our people where we really feel connected, supported, seen, and loved. And that's been my mission, is to make sure that we have those people and we can find them and have the resources to develop those relationships.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So would you say that loneliness or the fear of loneliness actually inspired the creation of Hey Vina?
Yeah, well, so our creation was, I moved to San Francisco, and right after college, I was 23, and I found myself suddenly feeling like I was the new girl in town. I didn't know anyone. I knew a couple of people who were friends of friends, and we'd go out for drinks here and there. but I just really wanted those close girlfriends because I had such a tight-knit group of girlfriends from my hometown in Newport Beach. And I would look at these girls like going to brunch out my window as I'm, 8 hours deep in America's Next Top Model marathon.
That's so funny.
I've started to go into watching Say Yes to the Dress, and it's like a dark time when you're just like, how many hours of wedding dress shopping can we watch together?
Totally.
And so I actually started looking at ways to meet people and realized that online dating was like a good option. It was 2009, so it was pre-dating apps era. And it was really interesting because you could see, they would show you on the website of OkCupid the women who were similar to you. And I'd look at these girls' profiles and would think, oh my gosh, they're so cool, they're so smart, they're exactly who I want to be friends with. But the problem is we were on a dating site. And so it was either going to come off really weird that I was trying to convince them to date me, or it was going to be they're just not even open to making friends because, at the end of the day, it's what's the intentionality? Why are people showing up to this place? So I tried lots of things. I volunteered. I did a triathlon. I did all of these things with the intention of meeting new friends. And so ultimately I ended up making a friend that I decided to message a girl on OkCupid and said, hey, I really love that book too. I'm new to town. I hope it's not weird that I'm messaging you. P.S. You have amazing eyebrows. Where do you go?
That is so funny.
I got rejected by a lot of people saying, I'm not a lesbian. And I was very clearly not trying to hit on them. And but I met this woman and she was amazing. We showed up to the bar for a happy hour. We had both just cut bangs that week. We were wearing basically the same exact outfit. We both had ordered the same drink already. And so we were instant best friends. But then she moved away.
Oh no. Do you still keep in contact with her?
We still keep in contact. We've actually done some work together on Vina, so that's been really fun to keep that relationship going. But that happens to us cyclically throughout our lives over and over and over again. Our friends move away, we change jobs, we get a boyfriend or a girlfriend or someone, and our lives just shift priorities. We get married, we have babies, or we don't, and all of our friends do, and then suddenly you're out of sync, and we can often feel like, oh, that's so weird that I'm the only one who's like this. I just gave a talk the other day at a conference, and I asked everyone in the room, I said, raise your hand if you know what lonely feels like. And I look around the room, and everyone had their hand raised, and everyone thought that they were the only one that felt that way.
What do you think about loneliness is affecting our generation, and how do you think are the first steps that maybe we can start solving this problem?
Yeah. So some of it's twofold. One, loneliness is basically desiring connection and not feeling like you have enough connection. It's no different from feeling hungry or thirsty or sleep deprived. These are all some of our basic human needs, and human connection and our relationships and social connections are a key part of this. And so often we think, after I work out and have a job and eat healthy, then I can invest in my social life. But it's actually, if you invest in your social life, you will always have a job. You will always have a place to live. You will always have food. And you will have all of these things when you have community. And so it's not the icing on the cake. It actually is like a key ingredient to having a really healthy life. And it's when it comes to loneliness and how we feel about this and how technology today is designed, our brains have been kind of hijacked in some ways. There is a psychological phenomenon that actually happens called the parasocial interaction theory or parasocial effect. And what this is when we have digital relationships, it originally started with radio and TV and with soap opera characters and housewives, where housewives would spend hours and hours a day watching daytime TV, and their brain would create a relationship with Ronaldo. And this person would be a real person in their life. They would be a real friend. And when something bad happened, they would feel it. And this would be something where they would then kind of isolate themselves because your brain's feeling, oh, I'm socially satisfied. And this is happening with us with Instagram quite a bit, and Facebook and Twitter, where we have all of these digital relationships, sometimes with people we don't know, but a lot of times with people that we do know and that are real friends in our lives and our family members. And our brains are getting tricked into thinking that we're having a social interaction with them when we like their photo, when they comment on our photo. When we have these little hits, they're actually creating dopamine in our brain, which says like, oh, yay, like social. We just had that fun. But the trick is that it's kind of like we're surviving off of gummy bears. And so, we think that we're socializing. And how often have you met someone or seen someone where they're like, oh, like I saw your vacation this summer, it was amazing. And you're like, oh my God, I don't know anything about you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or vice versa, and you realize that you're suddenly talking to someone about their life, their new baby, or like boyfriend or whatever, and suddenly you realize like this person doesn't really know anything about me, and I'm the one that's having this friendship. I'm experiencing a one-sided friendship, or vice versa.
So I got on the Vina app last night, and I have to say it was really cool and fun. I loved the fact that I get to pick sort of like my interests, right? So if I like coffee or wine, or both, which I only like coffee. So I was like, okay, coffee, if I'm a dog mom, all these awesome stuff. I love it. What do you think, or how can we create valuable friendships, right? So if I connect with somebody and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Like, what do you think are like the best tips and suggestions to actually now let's make this a real friendship?
Like you said, it's great to be able to customize and really show your personality, because that's essential for finding your people. So we're really thoughtful about those questions that we ask you when you onboard, and finding out that you are a coffee drinker, dog mom, maybe you're a morning person. And these are really important facts for when you're browsing and swiping through the deck, because you might see someone who looks kind of interesting and like they could be a good potential match, but then you see that they're a night owl, wine drinker, party girl, and you're like, oh, that's not really my vibe. And it's going to be really hard to meet that person, no matter how much other stuff you have in common from the app, just because your lifestyles are very different. You might be friends with that person otherwise, because of organic circumstances, but where we really want you to match up with people that you can actually make plans with and take the relationship offline. So we actually hear a lot of feedback where, because at the end of the day, Vina is a tool, and we can't develop the friendship for you, and you have to actually show up and take the initiative and make plans to meet up in real life. So that's my number one tip, is knowing that when you're on this platform, everyone else who signed up has joined because they are interested in meeting other new friends in person as well. So we get a little hesitant because, in a lot of, when online dating culture, it's pretty traditional that, once you match, people will either decide that they want to go with tradition and wait for the guy to message them if we're looking at traditional gender roles, or if you want to break that and be the one who takes the initiative. And so that's a prerogative that we have as feminists in the world. But the thing with friends is, when it's two women who are matching for friendship, there isn't someone who's, a dominator, and you're not choosing, who's going to take which role, because we're all equal and we all have this equal, situation. So I always say the second person who matches, so the one who swipes and then you get the ditto screen, that's the person who should send the first message, because you're there, you just matched. Might as well send a quick, hey, how are you? Liked this thing about your profile, or like, I have a dog too, or what's your dog's name, or what's your favorite coffee shop? Would love to meet up. I always just send that right away, because at the end of the day, Vina's a really safe community, because it's all women, and we know that we're there because we want to empower and support one another. So it's a really safe place.
I love that.
So interesting. So I think we've all come to a place to now fully accept the online dating apps, right? At first, I feel like it was, oh my gosh, this new thing, but I feel like it's very common in our generation. And now we have friendship apps, which is amazing. What would you tell a millennial woman that might feel a bit reserved in kind of starting a friendship and signing up to a friendship app?
Well, I think, there's been decades of marketing and advertising and dozens and dozens of platforms created for us to meet a date. But at the end of the day, you're just looking for one person. You're looking for that one where, maybe it's a life partner, or maybe you're just looking for someone to go out with that night. But when it comes to friendship, it's actually no different. It's actually maybe even less weird because, you're not going to maybe, I always say this. I used to throw women's events, and every month we'd have these wine parties in like a bar somewhere in San Francisco, and about 100 women would show up. And there's a really big challenge when you walk into an event where you look around the room and you have no idea anything about someone aside from what their outfit looks like, and maybe they have cool hair, or maybe they look really friendly and open. But it's very hard to choose friends based on looks. And at the end of the day, it's so much more about like who you are on the inside. And so you end up bouncing around and having conversation to conversation where you maybe spend 10 minutes talking to someone and you're like, oh, like maybe we didn't really click, but maybe you just didn't find out that one. You could have asked them that one question where they open up and start showing you who they really are, or that exposes that you have this weird secret passion in common. But when it comes to online dating, it's actually quite challenging because dating is not a rational experience. How many times have you fallen in love with someone and you're like, it makes no sense on paper. They don't check any of my boxes, but I just really love them. And so you can actually look around a room really quickly and tell who you're attracted to. And that's an important data point when it comes to relationships, because there's chemistry, there's pheromones, there's all of these things that initiate attraction. And then you get to know the person to see if you're compatible. And even if you're maybe not super compatible, you still could end up dating them anyway. Right?
Yeah.
Or marrying them. It happens. So when it comes to, it actually makes so much more logical sense when we think about it, that online friend making is actually the best way to be really thoughtful and take really proactive initiative in our lives, where we can naturally pick out who we want to surround ourselves. Have you heard of shine theory?
No.
So shine theory is the premise that we are the 5 people who are closest. We're the sum of the 5 people we spend the most amount of time with. And this actually plays a big role in our lives, especially as women, because we tend to be more empathetic and we tend to mirror behaviors a lot more easily. And so if you're surrounding yourself with people who are really negative or full of drama or, lazy or things like that, or, victims, and you're really trying to push forward in your life to be successful, a career-oriented person, or whoever it is that you want to be in self-improvement, this can actually hold you back in becoming who you want to be. It doesn't mean that those people can't be your friends anymore, but maybe it means that you need to start adding other people in your life that are actually going in the same direction as you and can support you being the best person that you can be.
I never heard of that before. It's called, what is it called again? The shine
theory. Who came up? Anne Friedman, who's a journalist for New York, The Cut. She writes a lot of amazing articles about feminism and about our roles of women in society. She also has a podcast called Call Your Girlfriend. And so she's fantastic.
I love that.
That's amazing.
Olivia, what do you think are the biggest challenges that millennial women in San Francisco are facing today?
It's the same challenge that millennial women are facing, really everywhere. I always think about it at the time where, you walk into a room and you're trying to show up in your career and you're talking to someone for 10 minutes and then they take it back and they're like, oh, you're actually smart. Or just like the whole getting taken seriously and getting access to like the people and the resources to get you to wherever it is that you want to go. I think that not everyone has to want to be a CEO. I think it's perfectly fine to have lots of different life goals, whether you want to be a full-time mom or you want to be an artist or you want to pursue a myriad of other careers. But what it's important is making sure that you always feel like you have the choice and the opportunity to the control in your life to choose that path for yourself. And so, just finding those people around you, I think is one of our greatest challenges in life, the ones who are going to support us and lift us up. And so, we get really, really busy, especially when we're pursuing living on our own and we're trying to, eat healthily and work out and have a social life and work, and pursue, like, grow in your career. But it really gets hard to take time for yourself and to, really invest in those areas that are going to have the biggest impact.
What has helped you personally? So, like, you're really busy, you have so much going on, and in a city like San Fran where it's just always crazy, I feel, you're dealing with a lot of different things. What helped you along your journey to sort of find your center or even spend more time with yourself? What were the things that helped you?
Just carving out that time and putting it on my calendar. I think very, very typically women will put everyone else first and will end up being the last one on our to-do list. And so I made it my New Year's resolution 2-3 years ago that I wanted to put myself first on my list. And I'm still on that journey to try to get there because, anyone's request for help or anyone's, request for my time is so easy to say, oh, sure, I have the time available. And so I realized that I wasn't even giving myself time to think. And, you're constantly just responding to an email or responding to a text or responding to something in life, your mom. and you realize that you need that time alone to carve out, whether it's for journaling or going for a walk by yourself or just thinking and saying, giving yourself some structure and allocated time to do so, and making sure that nothing else can encroach on that. That appointment with yourself is just as important as an appointment with anyone else.
Yeah, it's like keeping that promise to yourself.
Oh, yeah.
If you keep your promise to other people, you should keep it for yourself.
Exactly. I'm still working on that, a full disclosure.
I think we all are. That relationship with oneself is the one that we think about and least invest in for so many years. That's what we've done. And it is a very millennial thing now that we are coming to light with how important it is to kind of figure out who am I and invest in your self-development. And we're so passionate about that here at We Are Millennial Women. So thank you so much. I honestly, I want to know what is next for Olivia June and for Hey Vina. What's the future looking like?
Really exciting things. So one of my biggest initiatives, and we've been getting bringing our users and members of the community involved in the conversation, is developing a private space for us and a place that is a social hub for women where we can come together and either have that alone time or have that social time and, maybe it's learn something new, whether it's about health and nutrition, or it's about doing taxes, or it's about reading tarot cards, but a place for us to really develop ourselves, together. So I'm really excited about that. Lots of growth is on the horizon. So that's our big initiative too for 2019 is really also opening up the conversation more about friendship and how, it's not weird and it's not unusual and you're not alone and you're not like some Quasimodo up in the clock tower because you're feeling lonely. You're actually more connected to everyone, because did you know that loneliness is actually more than half of Americans feel lonely, some or most of the time. The same in the UK, and the same in Australia, same in Canada.
We're all fundamentally so much more alike than we are different. We say this all the time, but we really are,
Oh, yeah.
Know that, sometimes we think language barriers or cultural barriers, even different religious beliefs, but fundamentally, we have so much more that can connect us than divide us. And that I love that. That's amazing.
It's been one of my biggest learnings with Vina is, at first I started to do this localized research of, what are women like in New York or LA or London, and, what are our wants and desires. And then I quickly learned that it's all the same. Like, we're all kind of very similar. We all want the same thing. We all want someone to, tell about our crazy weird dream that we had last night, or to go out to lunch with and share, our thoughts and feelings on whatever's going on. And it doesn't matter, I change my location in the app all the time to start swiping in Moscow or in Sao Paulo or in Mexico City or in Norway or, all over the place. And it's always so, I guess, not surprising anymore, but ultimately we're all the same everywhere.
Yeah, totally.
100%.
Totally.
We all think we're so different and unique and weird, and we have to show more of that. Like, you have to show you're weird. You wanted advice for how to be successful on the app? Like, don't just list the most generic things about you. The same advice goes for dating. You have to show all the weird quirks, because that's what people are going to connect with. Those are the things where you're like, oh my God, me too.
I know, and it obviously makes you feel less alone. I love it. And I love that you actually gave a really good tip, change your location too. So I'm going to start doing that.
Teleport anywhere in the world from the app. And so if you have a trip coming up, for example, and maybe you're solo traveling or going with friends, you can actually meet locals and see events happening in that community. And it's a really great way to get to know the other women there, because, I think when we travel, it's really easy to be out in like a bar and someone will hit on you and they'll ask you to, show you around. But that's not necessarily what you're looking for. And, maybe you still want to get a local's perspective and get ingrained in the community. But doing it in a safe women's only space is really, really fantastic. I just hosted a happy hour the other night for Galentine's Day. I posted an event. You can just post an event. Anyone can post an event in the app, and it'll ding everyone in the nearby region saying, so-and-so wants to meet up. Do you want to join them? And we had about 15 girls come out for drinks in a tiki bar. It was really fun. And one of the women, she joined Vina because she came from London. She's in town for 2 months while her boyfriend's doing a job here. And she Googled, how do you make friends in LA? And found the app. And ever since then, she's been going on several Vina dates a week. She's hosted several different brunches and happy hours. And she's like, it's so great because I was just spending day after day sitting at home waiting for my boyfriend to come home. And now I get to go out and meet all these cool girls. And he's like, when are you coming home? Like, I miss you, which is like the ideal situation.
Yeah.
Now he's waiting for her.
She's not like twiddling her thumbs, like, watching TV at home when he gets there. She's out having fun. And so it's been really great to see those stories.
I love it. You're making such an impact, Olivia, with this app. And I truly wish when I moved to Los Angeles at 18, I had an app like this, because I was very lonely and I didn't know anybody. And I'm like, how do I make friends? So this is really changing the world in so many ways, and we're so grateful that you have been able to share your talent by creating something so powerful like this. So thank you so much for your time. I'll be seeing you on Vina because I'm already there. So
and I need to join today.
Yes, you're joining. I'm going to start trying the different locations. I think that's so cool. Because my dad traveled, we're sisters obviously, but he traveled all over the world, and he had these incredible stories of like the friends that he made in Hong Kong and Brazil. So I'm going to start doing that and creating my own stories now with my Vinas around the world.
Well, then you make these friends all over the place, and then you can travel and show up anywhere and stay with them, and it makes traveling so much more affordable and fun, and it's so important for us to do that.
Thank you so much, Olivia. You're amazing. Thank you so much for your time and for joining us in this episode today.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye, Olivia.
Bye. If you want to learn more and join the app, you can download Hey Vina for free right now at the App Store, and follow them on Instagram at Hey Vina and at Hey Olivia June.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Mini Talks. Brand new episodes air every Thursday on YouTube, Facebook, IGTV, and wearemillennialwomen.com. While you're there, don't forget to leave us a comment.
Until next time, MW.
Always love
Melissa
and Stephanie Carcache.